In America, most of us learn about Islam as a religion or a civilization, but religions are also people with their own stories and personalities. These were recently reflected in a photo project by Brittany Hathaway called Reframing Islam. And this will be the springboard to a community conversation and reception November 18th at Boston Public Library in Grove Hall. We'd like to welcome two of the people involved, State Representative Evandro Carvalho and one of his constituents in the 5th Suffolk District, Imam Taalib. Mahdee. Thank you both very much for being with us.
Thank you for having us. Thank you.
I want to start with the representative. You've seen these photos, and what made you think that this is something that we got to have here in Grove Hall?
Not only have I seen the photos, I actually met some of the people in the photos. And before I actually dive into that, I want to say again, Chris, it's always a pleasure to be with you here. I want to thank the network for doing the work to make sure that people from the neighborhood get exposed to the various news that's happening in the neighborhood. So it's always a pleasure for me to be here with you. In terms of this event, someone had it, one of my colleagues, in fact, from the Worcester district area, brought the photographer and the exhibit to the State House, and they had it one afternoon and brought a few of the folks that were photographed. And I made a point to attend because we don't see those events often. And when I went, I was impressed with what I saw in terms of the people, in terms of what the intent of it is, which is essentially, and in fact, the exhibit, they say pictures speak 1,000 words, because when you see the people, then you know it's real, right? What we know with Islam and the Muslims in America, particularly since 2001, is that they've been socially degraded. They've been socially profiled. So they kind of have gotten the short end of the stick, particularly as now with the administration that we have currently in place in terms of the federally with Donald Trump and some of his rhetoric around immigrants, particularly immigrants of Islamic background. So for me as legislator, as a policymaker, I have to also frame the discussion in my neighborhood, because I have friends, I have constituents who are of Islamic faith. So I want to make sure that I carry the conversation in a positive direction as well, because it is a lot of positive happen amongst the Muslim community. So that's what this event for me is. Now, as I said, I saw the photographs, I met the people involved, and I know, in fact, a close friend of mine often helps me and is almost like a mentee is of Islamic religion. So I'm always looking for ways to empower people, and I think it's a much needed conversation to be had in our neighborhoods.
Imam, you're part of a congregation that's been in the community for decades. Why have this conversation now in this neighborhood?
I think, first I want to thank both of you all for having me, but I think with what's going on in the world today, America and what's going on with the world itself, I think it's important for our neighbors to get a bit of understanding of who we are, what we represent. So this event is one of those activities that will help us, the neighbors, identify more closely with Islam.
And Representative, one of the things I get from looking at these photographs is not only are these people that I would just see walking down the street in some neighborhoods in Boston, but the way that's presented is almost like faces in a high school yearbook.
Mm-hmm. It certainly is. I mean, these folks, like any other religion or background, these are productive members of our society and our neighbors, as the Imam mentioned. So it's important to kind of bring it to the neighbor, to make sure that people understand that. Sometimes I know the Islamic look is associated with particular characteristics, but that's not always the case too. I know a lot of people that don't look like it. Even his brother, you don't always can see that he's of Islamic faith. So I think it's important to understand that one, we have to stop categorizing. We have to stop socially profiling them. Just because he has a beard doesn't mean he's a Muslim, and if he is a Muslim, doesn't mean he's a terrorist, as we commonly see the message on TV. The reality is, again, for me, the main thing is because what we see on TV, what we see on the news, what we see even from our leader, the leader of the free world, is that, right? Anything that happened that the person who was Muslims done, it doesn't matter. If you shoot someone down the street, no, it's a terrorist attack. But you don't always see, and that's a debate for a bigger conversation in terms of how that's characterized. But I do think that at the end of the day, these are human beings, and the majority of them are people, are good people, and our neighbors and our doctors, or as you mentioned, the high school reunion or our school yearbook. These are your classmates. So it's important that we at the local level, we kind of take care of our own, and we frame the discussion, because at the high level, unfortunately, it's been far too poisonous and negativity in terms of Islamic faith.
This has been the news, and we're talking about reframing Islam with Representative Evandro Carvalho and Imam Taalib Mahdee. Imam, talk about your discovery of Islam, because you were a convert. Was this the religion, or was this a particular person who drew you to the faith?
My discovery came because my mother raised me as a Christian, and then I went into the military. And from that experience, I began to search again for the roots of my mother raising me as a Christian. So when I came out of the military, I began searching again for religion. And I was attracted to that time, it was called the Nation of Islam at that particular time. And so I went to a couple of meetings, and I left there, and then I went to 35 Interville Street, where I am the religious leader there, and I heard the Imam, or the religious leader, speaking, and I found that that was what I needed. So I came back the following week, and I accepted the religion of Islam, which was in 1978.
Now, when we hear about this problem with profiling, is this something that you experience in the district yourself?
Not personally.
Right.
I know Muslims who have, but not personally. Muslims from different ethnic groups, more so than probably African American, and that being we're in the district, we're there, we've been there for a long time, so there's a familiarity. But with people who someone may not know or understand or look different, then they may get a little bit more of a harassment than somebody else.
Representative, how does this overlap with another concern of yours in this? Because you have so many different types of immigrants in your district. So why is it important to have them aware of each other?
That's I'm glad you brought that up, because I was thinking about that as well. I honestly, as an elected official in the district, I just look for ways to add value. How do I educate the public, whether it's about what's going on in the House of Representatives or in the government, or about each other? So this is just one avenue. I mean, I know, we did a series of events about immigration and immigration, know your rights and capacity, about what's happening in terms of the federal, different executive orders that came out. So this is just another component of what my job is, what I see my job is, which is, someone with a little more access to help frame the conversation, whether it's immigration, whether it's criminal justice reform, whether it's Islam. But this is, again, more than others. I think this is an important conversation that should have been happening, that needs to be happening more.
We should mention that the event's going to be on November 18th on Saturday.
Yes.
And what's the time of this?
It's next Saturday, not this one approaching. Yeah. Next Saturday, the Saturday, I guess, before Thanksgiving, is from 1 to 4:30 p.m. at the Grove Hall Library. Beautiful facility. And that's, I believe, 41 Geneva Avenue. It's really in the Mecca area, right in Grove Hall.
And of course, right next to Jeremiah Burke High School.
Yes, right next to Jeremiah Burke.
Great. Well, thank you both very much for being with us. State Representative Evandro Carvalho and Imam Taalib Mahdee. Thank you very much for being with us.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.